I would like you to imagine a famous piece of artwork. Anything that comes to mind. You could be thinking of Van Gogh's Starry Night or Da Vinci's Mona Lisa, something with more personal significance to yourself, just anything. Now I want you to imagine that someone is taking credit for that. They have somehow made it their own in some tiny, significant little way. They have changed it just barely, and they're taking credit for it. How do you feel about it? Has it changed at all in your mind? Does it still look the same to you? Is it changed at all how you feel about it? This is known as appropriation. Webster defines appropriation as the action of taking something for one's own use, typically without the owner's permission. Artistically, it means taking a pre-existing image or an object and using it with little or no means of transformation. It's important to understand that when you copyright your own artwork, it makes sure that you can be fairly compensated if someone uses it. However, with whatever personal significance there is to your artwork, it's also important to understand that appropriation has had such a significance in the history of art. Andy Warhol once said, "Isn't life a series of images that change as they repeat themselves?" This is a famous man who is admired by many people and artists, who is also famous for his appropriated imagery. The most famous of which for his cases was his painting of print of the Four Flowers. This was originally a photograph by Patricia Caulfield, who saw the artwork and realized that it was her own. So she sued him for the copyrights. She was not the only one who sued him in the 60s. She was also sued by Fred Ward and Charles Moore. All of his cases were settled outside of court, and after those cases he did begin to seek permission. There are actually letters that are famous that he wrote to Campbell's Soup for the images of their cans that he used in his artwork. Using or borrowing things without the owner's permission is wrong no matter what, but appropriation is seen as different. There are different gray areas and different rules that apply to it than there is with just stealing. And in most cases, it's something it's really awesome when it's not happening to you, but you have to protect yourself with copyrights and licenses so that when your work is used and you catch it, that you'll be compensated somehow with money or with rights to the artworks, or just compensated somehow for your credit. Many artists use appropriation, and even more have had their work appropriated or stolen, so it is important to know how to protect yourself. When you create artwork, it is copyrighted outright, just like that, flat and straight. It's your own, you created it for yourself with your own purposes in mind, and it has your name on it whether or not it's even signed. But it's not 100% protected until you register it. And you can register it with the United States Copyright Office. They actually encourage that on the website. I've been checking it out all day, and it basically just says if you register it, you can even look up other artworks to see if there's anything similar that you could even be infringing on. But they encourage that you do it because it will protect you from any use without permission that falls under the certain circumstances that I did say earlier. You can do the process online or in person, and the site says that there are different advantages to doing it different ways. You can track the progress of your cases online rather, where in person it's just, I guess some people feel better about it just because they're actually there in person. But once you do that, you're safe from anybody using your work without your permission, 100%, as long as it falls under those certain circumstances. So let's take a step back from that, and I want you to imagine that you're in the shoes of an artist. You have taken a photo, and later on you see that it has been used without your permission. How do you feel about it? Your first reaction would most likely be anger because you see your artwork and you're not being given credit for it, but you could also feel proud at the same time because that's your artwork and it's out there and people are liking it, but you're still not being given credit for it. And this is actually a very famous case of appropriation. The photographer Patrick Carrier sued Richard Prince for the use of his photographs. And this is this case right here. So Prince used photographs that were from Carrier's book that he published that was called Rasta Yes. And all he would do to change it was he would put circular shapes over the facial features. Sometimes he would add imagery, like here he's added the guitar in the photo. But some cases he would just leave it how it was and just put dots over certain parts of it. And obviously some people don't see that there's a huge difference, whereas some other people see that there's a huge difference. So this is one of the more famous cases. This ended up with Prince being ordered to destroy and impound any piece of the artwork that he made based off the other series to be destroyed. So it's kind of good because even though the other artist wasn't compensated, he at least got credit for his artwork, and Prince wasn't able to use it. Prince has actually gone on to be sued many more times for the same thing, and Art in America has said that his works are often not transformative enough or commenting on the original pieces and therefore infringements. Alright. Appropriation is prevalent and it's not looked down on particularly in the art world. It's, again, kind of a thing where it sucks when it's happening to you. It's always unfair to watch someone get credit or praise or even fame for a thing that you created. There are tons of famous pieces using appropriation in the art world. A couple of the more famous pieces are Armut's Fountain, which is just a ready-made artwork. And a ready-made artwork is just, if you took a Coke can and put it on a pedestal and called it art, then that's a ready-made. So this is what he did. He found a urinal and he put his pseudonym Armut 1917 on it, and that was that. And that was pretty much a big deal when it came out because no one had really thought of just doing that before, just finding something and calling it art. And he has one other one. He did a whole series of these postcards, and it was called LHOOQ. And as you can see, this is just one of the series, but they're all just different postcards with the picture of Mona Lisa, and she's just got like facial hair drawn on her. Another famous one is Jeff Koontz's String of Puppies sculpture, which was just based on a postcard actually that he saw. That was just a photograph that this couple had taken with their dogs. Appropriation is very prevalent in pop art. It's based in it. But we must give credit where credit is due. You have to register your artwork to protect yourself so that you get credit for what is rightly yours. So whether it's your starry night or a photo on a postcard, you register your work so that you can keep it your own. After all, it is Pablo Picasso himself who said, "A good artist borrows, great artists steal."